Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Global Happenings Today YouTube channel. Still on the continuation of the final written address. This time around, Labour Party have responded to the final written address of APC. Remember, some few days back, it was a case of Bola Tinubu Shetima writing the final written address, of which Peter Obi, Labour Party, Atiku Abubakar responded adequately to that. But right now, APC have written their own. Labour Party Peter Obi have said to respond, and it's loaded as usual. These are indeed dramatic days ahead. It's big Herculean tax. If you ask me, I think it's a straightforward way for the judges to decide. But let's find out really what they said and the powerful points raised in the final written address. Well, according to the news summary of the final written address, actually, Labour Party started by mentioning the fact that APC did not call any witnesses at all, and thereby abandoning its pleadings and have no right to say that the averment and materials attached to the petition by Labour Party and Obi, that's Peter Obi, are grossly insufficient to sustain the petition. They also continued by raising three major issues for determination and arguing same. One, the first issue bordered on if Bola Tinubu and Shetima were even qualified to contest at all. The second one was a case of non-compliance, and the third one was the declaration and return of Bola Tinubu vis-a-vis non-compliance. As regards the first issue, Labour Party argued that APC in their final address were wrong to say that the conviction must exist before a person will be disqualified from contesting for the office of the president. They also argued that the U.S. district judgment they tendered was in full compliance with the law, as they relied on the case of MV Delos versus Ocean Steamship Nigeria Limited, and that the court should disregard the argument of APC, wherein it said that the judgment should be registered in Nigeria. They further argued that the civil forfeiture in the U.S. amounts to a fine, and that if Bola Tinubu was not personally affected as APC claimed, he would not have challenged the proceedings. They further argued that by the express meaning and intendment of section 137 subsection 1 subsection D of the Nigerian Constitution, a person who even though not convicted have forfeited property on account of criminal conduct should not aspire to be allowed to occupy an exalted office of the President of Nigeria. The next point raised was that on disqualification of Shetima, they relied on section 402 of the Constitution, which provides that a person shall not be validly nominated unless he nominates another candidate as his associate. They also relied on section 34 of the Electoral Act, which is on double nomination, and argued that Shetima's nomination as a senator was never withdrawn by the law. On non-compliance, they argued that APC cannot state that Labour Party did not discharge the burden of proof placed on them by law when they, APC, didn't provide any evidence in the petition. They also further argued that the current position of the law is the one established in the case of Oyetola versus INEC, where the court held that while there is no part in the Electoral Act and INEC guidelines that require that election result of a polling unit should, during the polls, be transmitted on the spot to INEC National Election Register database, the regulations provide that beavers be used to scan the complete result in Form EC8A and be transmitted or uploaded to the collation system and INEC result viewing portal (IREF). They further argued that the argument of APC saying that Labour Party had the duty to prove non-compliance unit by unit, word by word, and also showed figures, it flawed as such is inapplicable under the present regime governed by the Electoral Act 2022. They also argued, after citing the case of Senator Julius Ali Ucha versus Chief Martins Nwasho Elechi and us, that when a petitioner raises non-compliance, the burden shifts to the respondent to debunk same, and this was not done by APC. On the argument of dumping documents on the court, Labour Party argued by relying on paragraph 46 subsection 4 of the first schedule of the Electoral Act, which affirms that documentary evidence shall be deemed demonstrated in open court after it has been taken as read by consent. On transfer and transmission, they also argued, relying on section 60 subsection 5 of the Electoral Act 2022, which makes it punishable where a presiding officer does not transfer the result as prescribed by the Commission. On the alleged technological glitch, they argued that the temporary failure of communication between the e-transmission system and the RF portal, as INEC claimed, were actually false. They mentioned that witness 7 tendered the health status of AWS and the Amazon Web Service Health showed that the 25th of February 2023 there was no glitch whatsoever. They also mentioned that in a futile attempt to justify the technological glitch, INEC's witness 1 tendered an alleged AWS CloudTrail logs showing the touted technological glitches, but on cross-examination, his evidence showed that the evidence he tendered didn't meet the criteria he listed. A CloudTrail should ordinarily have an event time, event source IP address, and so on, but the one tendered by INEC witness do not have most of these criteria. Finally, on declaration and return of Bola Ahmed Tinubu vis-a-vis non-compliance, considering that they are not qualified according to Labour Party, they argued that the Constitution gives the interpretation that a winning candidate must have 25% of the total vote cast in 2/3 of the states in the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT), meaning that a winning candidate must obtain 25% in 24 states and the FCT. They further stated that Part 2 of the second schedule lists the status of the Federation and the FCT is not included as a state. They concluded by asking the court to discountenance the argument of APC as being devoid of any scintilla of merit and hold that the petitioners have a case and grant their relief. This is not only powerful, this is insightful. They took their time, and yes, if you could remember, even the judges were very shocked that of all this whole issue going on, APC did not even bother to bring a witness. In fact, when INEC was closing their case, Bola Ahmed Tinubu were closing their case. APC also followed suit and said they will close their case, to the point that I could still remember Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Liva Ozoku, had to say, you don't want us to continue so that we can mesmerize your witnesses and convert your witnesses to our own strength. You're already saying that we are going to finish, we'll bamboozle you everywhere. They said, no, there's no such thing. I could still remember that even Ikpezu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, was on standby to mesmerize the witnesses coming from APC. And they said they were closing their case. Even the judges were shocked. So yes, I could still remember they did not field any witness, and they were all shouting and screaming, and that some of the ones that did not accept the CTC, they did not accept, they said they are going to write in their final written address. They didn't counter it. Instead, the only thing the judge shouted was objection, which was still admitted. So you now see that technically too, Labour Party's lawyers, Peter Obi's lawyers, were ready for whatever technicalities they are bringing on board. But they did not only come with technicalities, they also came with their proofs. And that's to tell you that Labour Party came prepared. How the judges will take these whole cases is now up to them. All eyes are truly on the judiciary. Let's meet in our comment section. What's your take on this well-loaded